Hey, it's Andrew Shackleton here. Just going to give you a quick update on what's been going on in the housing market here in Kitchener Waterloo for February. We're nearly done. I'm going to compare that to the Waterloo region sales as well. We're going to get you started right now. So, City of Waterloo detached prices for February, so far anyways, the month's almost closed out, came in at $944,000. Now, compared to January, that's a huge hit. They were over $1 million in January. But, having said that, that $944,000 average for detached in Waterloo is actually 60 grand above the regional Waterloo detached average. Now, all that is the Waterloo premium. Waterloo gets a premium above Kitchener, above Cambridge, pretty much any city or town in the region. That's just how it is. Sold to list ratios came in right around 100%, just at parity. And this is something that we're seeing on our marketplace in almost every segment. The sold to list ratio is back down to more or less normal levels. Now, talking about semis here in Waterloo. Semis were down by $20,000 compared to January. Low volume, low sales volumes. And looking at that average price too, that average price compared to Waterloo region at $647,000 is actually $31K below the region of Waterloo's average. Odd thing about this though, for that limited number of sales we had in February, sold to list ratio was actually 115%. That means pretty much all of those sales had bidding wars on them. And that's a bit of an anomaly. I can't explain it, but it also happened in Kitchener. Now, moving on to townhouses for the City of Waterloo. Townhouses in the City of Waterloo, prices were up sharply compared to January. We averaged $666,000. That beat the regional Waterloo average as well by $30,000. The sold to list ratio for townhouses dropped about 1%. It's sitting right now at 98%. Apartment style condos in Waterloo, they averaged $503,000. That was an increase of $35K compared to what we saw in January. Beat the average regional price as well by roughly the same amount. Sold to list ratio, it dropped slightly. We're sitting at 97% now for apartment style condos in the month of February for City of Waterloo. Now, moving on to Kitchener, different city, kind of similar story with our numbers though. Kitchener detached prices, we saw a small reduction compared to January. We're sitting right at $897,000. This was actually only a little bit higher than what we saw for the region. So Kitchener's, I guess, the bellwether city. Sold to list ratios, it came up just a little bit. We're sitting just over 100% in that segment. Now, moving on to semis. That's the one I had mentioned is similar to Waterloo's situation. Semis rose by 33 grand compared to January. We're coming in right now at an average of $669,000 in Kitchener. Average price relative to Waterloo region, we're actually about 10K below what they're going for across region of Waterloo. Here's the odd thing though, just like as I mentioned was the City of Waterloo. Sold to list ratios in this segment were at 107%. So again, people are fighting over these semi-sales and in both cities, tiny chunk of the market. So just a little bit of an oddball situation. Moving on to townhouses. Townhouses in the City of Kitchener, we came in at $605,000. That's $14K lower than where we were in January and about $28,000 lower than the overall regional price for townhouses. Sold to list ratio right now, it's sitting at about 100%. And that came up about 1% compared to last month. Lastly, I'm going to finish up with apartment style condos in Kitchener. Rose 15 grand compared to January. We're sitting right now at about $429,000. And that's actually 40K lower than the regional average. So big discount compared to buying in other cities and the region as a whole. Sold to list ratio, it rose 2%. And we're sitting right around parity for February for apartment style condos. Anyways, that's the numbers for you there. I can tell you going out and about, I'm in the starter home segment with one of my clients. That segment, townhouses and semis, it is competitive as all heck. Everything is, well, half the things we're bidding on have bidding wars on them. You do see some that, they're going for asking or going for 10% at below, but there's a lot of stuff where people are willing to pay over, and it just seems to be the nature of that market. Because as you can see from the numbers I just threw you for all the other segments, sold to list ratios for the most part is flat. That's a huge change from where we were, prior to early spring of 2022 when stuff was going 130% above asking. So it's actually nice. These lower sales volumes, less crazy activity. It actually makes it nice to go out and work with buyers. Now, moving into the spring, I had put a blog post out about this sold to list ratio. I fully expect that we're going to see sold to list ratios cross parity overall for KW and the region as a whole, just because our spring market typically gets busy and that extra buyer demand will push that ratio higher. No surprise there, but I think it's going to be a busy spring market, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and have yourself a fantastic day.